Hi, everyone, and welcome to Lower Blood Pressure Naturally. This is Sandy Holterhouse. And before we get started with our class, I wanted to go ahead and just give you an overview of the booklet. There's a lot of great information in here, and I want you to use it for tracking and as a guide and for looking up nutrient values. So let me just go ahead and get started. So this is the cover of the booklet. Our class runs May 3rd through May 27th. I have focused it over a 4-week period, so 28 days, and all of the information will be available to you in the virtual gym. So you can pull a lot of great tips and recipes and other ideas out of there as well. So just as kind of that caveat before we start, you always want to follow your doctor's guidance with your blood pressure. Exercising, a lot of times if you have high blood pressure, can work to bring your blood pressure down over time. So that's one of the first changes that we notice with the addition of exercise. So that may be something that you want to continue to monitor, and also speak with your doctor about if you find that your blood pressure is starting to go down from that exercise. We never want you to discontinue your medication on your own. You always do want to speak with your doctor about that as well. So with that being said, the program that we are going to be doing are going to use these therapies. We are going to use the DASH diet at the 1,500 milligram sodium level. That has been shown to allow many people to get off of one of their blood pressure medications. So meaning that if you're on 2 blood pressure medications, you may be able to get off of one. And if you are on one medication, you may be able to get off medication entirely. Again, that's something that you work out with your doctor. I will be providing easy and delicious recipes for you to enjoy. Some of those are in this booklet, and a lot of those will be online in the virtual gym. Our activity guidance. So we know that to help reduce blood pressure, we want to get 150 minutes or more per week of cardio activity. So I always recommend you do something you enjoy. And now that the weather is changing, hopefully you can get outside, get some walking in, get some biking in, or come into the gym and do some of your favorite classes. But we want to shoot for that 150 minutes per week. And don't worry if you're not there yet, just start somewhere, and you don't have to start right out at 150 minutes, but maybe you start with 10 minutes each day and you continue to add on to that. The other recommendation is that you get 2 sessions, about 20 minutes of weight or resistance training. And if you can do more with that, that will also be beneficial to you as well. We will be doing guided breathing in the classes. On Mondays, I will do the same guided breathing exercise. That exercise can also be found in the virtual gym. And I hope to also get some additional guided breathing exercises out there as well. I will introduce you to tapping, which is an emotional freedom technique that has been shown to help reduce stress. And there are tappings that are follow or go along with reducing high blood pressure. So especially with those emotions of anger and grief and different things that might raise blood pressure. We'll also do some guided progressive relaxation, some transcendental meditation, and some autogenic training. So just some different techniques. And I know some of you might think, oh, some of these might be a little out there. Believe me, I'm a very science-based person. And because of that, I do like to experiment with different techniques. And you never know what technique might work for a certain person. So that's why I just want you to keep an open mind about trying some of these different relaxation techniques. So moving on, DASH diet, it stands for dietary approaches to stop hypertension. The studies on the DASH were done back in the 1990s. They studied the DASH diet at a 2,300 milligram per day sodium limit and a 1,500 milligram per day sodium limit. And lo and behold, they found that reducing that sodium level to 1,500 milligrams per day was more beneficial to people with high blood pressure. So that's what we are going to shoot for as we're going through our class. There are other benefits to the DASH diet. Although it wasn't designed as a weight loss program, it may help you to lose weight, but it also may help with preventing osteoporosis, some types of cancer, heart disease, stroke, and diabetes as well. So although I'm not going to be really a stickler about you following all of the DASH rules and getting the correct number of food groups in each day, I will be more of a stickler on recommending and trying to increase the nutrients to the levels that they need to be. So in particular, calcium, magnesium, potassium, and fiber, those are going to be nutrients that we will be focusing on. And then decreasing nutrients, trans fat, saturated fat, sodium, alcohol, and sugar. So you'll be receiving guidance on all of those. So here are the basic food groups, and that white section there in the center of the page, I have it broken down at different calorie levels. When you get your own booklet, you'll be able to see this a little bit better. But that tells you how many of each of those food groups, how many servings of each of those food groups you're supposed to be receiving per day. It also gives you some serving sizes, examples of the foods, and what the significance of getting those foods in your diet are. So the food groups we will be focusing on are grains, mostly whole grains. And what I mean by that is not foods that have been broken down to flour and reassembled, but foods like quinoa or oatmeal or brown rice that are still in their whole grain form, that take longer for us to digest and don't spike our blood sugar and give us a lot of other nutritional benefits. We will, of course, be focusing on vegetables and fruits, and then on low-fat milk and dairy products. And if you are a person that doesn't do cow's milk or goat's milk or animal milk, never fear, you can continue to do your nut milks or soy milks, whatever it is that you're doing. But I do want to make the caveat that the DASH diet was studied with the animals, the cow's milk, and there are an abundant number of nutrients in cow's milk. So if you can tolerate cow's milk, I do recommend that you get in some skim milk and some plain yogurt to increase the amount of calcium and potassium that you take in each day. Lean proteins, we have the servings there in ounces, and nuts, seeds, and legumes. For the lower calorie levels, you'll be more at a weekly per week basis. But as you get to, that 2,400, 2,600 calories a day, we would recommend one serving per day. I found in my own lifestyle that I can split up some of those servings during the week, so I can have some every day. I might just have half a serving, and it might be something I put on a salad, or something that I put on a salad. So there are ways to incorporate them into your daily life, but we just don't want to exceed the number of servings for nuts, because they can add a lot of calories to your diet. Fats and oils, I've got the number of servings there that you want at the top. And then I also have in yellow there highlighted the number of grams of saturated fat. So that's something that we will also focus on in this class, is reducing the amount of saturated fat that we take in. We do know that saturated fat will raise your LDL, or that lousy cholesterol, but it also makes your vessels more rigid and can contribute to plaque buildup in the vessels. And when we want to reduce blood pressure, we want to make sure that we are not making our vessels rigid, but we are learning to relax our vessels. And also, we don't want our vessels to become brittle or aged from sugar, can also do that to the vessels. Sweets and alcohol. This was another tough one for a lot of people, is trying to reduce the amount of sweets and possibly the amounts of alcohol that you're drinking each week. But I want to put those kind of in that same category, so that you're only having 1 to 2 per week if you're on that lowest level, 1 to 2 per day if you're at that highest calorie level. So moving on, just to give you the guidance for the nutrients that we want to increase and decrease. Calcium, men, we want 1,000 to 1,200 milligrams per day, and that is actually the same for women. 1,000 to 1,200 is what we're shooting for. For magnesium, men is 400 to 420 milligrams per day. Women, 310 to 320 milligrams per day. Potassium, for men, 3,400 to 4,700 milligrams per day. And they really recommend you try to get it as close to that 4,700 as you can. And women is 26 to 3,400 milligrams per day. But of course, more is better there as well. Fiber, 30 to 38 grams per day for men, and women, 21 to 25 grams per day. So trans fat, those are those partially hydrogenated oils. You really don't know if they're in your food. Usually it's processed food, unless you look and read the label ingredients, and it would say partially hydrogenated soybean oil or partially hydrogenated such and such oil. And that means that is a trans fat, and trans fats actually raise our lousy cholesterol, the LDL, and they lower our HDL, or our healthy cholesterol. So those are a double whammy. That's why we want to avoid those. So saturated fat, again, I've got the guidance there highlighted in yellow for the number of grams. So that's not the only fat that we eat per day. Obviously, we eat polyunsaturated, omega-3s, we eat monounsaturated. So that's not your total guidance for fat for the day, but that is the fat that I want you to focus on reducing and making sure you don't go over that amount per day based on your calorie level. And a lot of you might end up being quite upset when you start realizing how much saturated fat you're taking in and how difficult it is to start to reduce that level. And certainly I can give you some tips and tricks for that as well. Sodium, we're all shooting for that 1,500 milligrams or less per day. Now, I don't want you to go too low on sodium, because we do need it. It is part of our sodium potassium pump in our body. It pumps different nutrients to the different cells of our body. It also works in our cardiovascular health. So we do need sodium in our diet. So if we can get close to that 1,500 milligrams, reducing the amount from, I think the average American diet is around 3,400 milligrams per day. So way more than what we need. And that's why we're seeing such an increase in high blood pressure at a younger age in people. Again, the guidance for sugar is there. I do have on this page, because there was room, if you want to track some blood pressure readings on your own, those can be kept here. If you want to have your blood pressure done at the rec center, we have a couple of options. There is the machine by the front desk. You are welcome to use that. Or you can make an appointment with one of our fitness instructors. They do a free manual blood pressure check, and you would just need to get those scheduled by stopping at the front desk or calling in to schedule those. So if you want to do those regularly, there's a place to record them here. So I spent a little bit of time putting together some important nutrient food sources and going through just the different food groups that are recommended in the DASH diet. And I highlighted in yellow, and when you get your booklet, it'll be a little bit larger. You'll be able to see a little bit better. The nutrients that were like fairly high, the foods that were fairly high in those certain nutrients. So I tried to put in a variety, lots of whole foods mainly because those are going to have less sodium than our processed foods. So if you're starting to look at eating some of these foods, that can certainly help you to increase those nutrients in the day that we are trying to watch, or reduce those nutrients. I have the sodium in that final column there. So watching that as well, so you're not getting too much of that. So we track here all the nutrients that we're trying to watch. And I've got a couple pages of that. If you're going through this list and there's a food that you're eating regularly and it's not on this list, please let me know, email me, or give me a call. You can call me through the front desk and I will get the information to you. I will probably go out into the virtual gym and I'll get it added to the booklet at a later date here. But just so that you can get that information. I tried to do a very wide variety here of different types of foods that are healthy for us and that can lead us to obtaining the number of amounts of nutrients that we need each day. So I do have very simply here, starting on page 8, some recipes. There's a smoothie, a high potassium smoothie. I've put that one out on the virtual gym as well. It's a green smoothie. But as you can see here, if you take this and divide it into 2 servings, you'll get over 1,100 milligrams of potassium. So it's a very high potassium smoothie. That's a third to a fourth of what you need per day. So we need to look for those kind of things because potassium, magnesium in particular can be very difficult to get into our diets, but are very essential for helping to keep our blood pressure down. There's a chocolate avocado pudding recipe there. I was trying to put out some recipes that are tasty and delicious as well. And these I just have the ingredients listed for, but if you mix these together, you can end up with what I intended you to have. So there's overnight oats, oat bran cereal, egg whites with salmon. And just again, you can see that egg whites with salmon, the potassium level, and there's 1147. So a great breakfast or a great way to start off your morning. Plus it's got about a third of the calcium you need for today, a third or a fourth. Some lunch ideas, a salmon salad, a veggie wrap, baked potato, broccoli, and then some dinner ideas as well. And as we go through the class, I will try to continue to give you more recipe ideas, more food ideas. I was essentially trying to list the higher nutrient dense foods that would help us lead to higher calcium, magnesium, potassium. And when we get all those vegetables, and that also increases that fiber. I got some snack ideas listed here on page 10. Dark chocolate apricots, so dried apricots dipped in dark chocolate. An apple and some almonds. I like those cocoa dusted almonds. Those will give you some good magnesium and calcium. Hummus with crackers and Triscuit crackers. I recommend the hint of salt ones. Those are lower in sodium than some of the other crackers. And you can have 6 crackers with only 50 grams of sodium with the hint of salt. Dark chocolate with pumpkin seeds. Heart healthy drink of coconut water, pomegranate juice, and psyllium husk powder. Psyllium husk powder is the ingredient that they put in Metamucil. So it helps to keep you regular. But I don't like Metamucil. I don't like to recommend that because they add food coloring and artificial sweeteners to it. But you can buy actually the psyllium husk powder and mix it into recipes on your own. And the added benefit of that is that it helps to lower cholesterol because it's loaded with soluble fiber, which is a benefit to those that are trying to decrease their blood pressure. And then I have a hot chocolate there. I make this one, I just take a square of dark chocolate and break it up into a cup of skim milk and heat that up in the microwave and give it a quick swirl with a spoon and enjoy the hot chocolate there. I did put a dietitian tip here. If you're looking for something to make soups with, the Herbox brand has the beef or the chicken flavoring, and they are sodium free. That is one of the issues with trying to be on a low sodium diet, is that broths are loaded with sodium. Even the low sodium broths have a ton of sodium in. So you can find this. It's in I think they might have it in a cube form as well, but they also have it in a powdered form. And I've seen it at most of the grocery stores around here. So it's Herbox, and that will help you in making some of the recipes to help keep the amount of sodium that you're getting. I did kind of review this, but again, the activity guidance, the guided breathing, some tapping, some progressive relaxation, and we'll also try some autogenic training and transcendental meditation. Again, just throwing out different ideas to help you experiment and determine what works for you in helping to lower blood pressure. One other strategy is boosting nitric oxide foods. That's been shown to work as a vasodilator, helps to widen the vessels, let the blood flow at a more relaxed and easy way. So this was from Healthline, but the 10 best foods to boost nitric oxide: beets, garlic, some of the animal products, or a CoQ10 supplement were shown to do that. Dark chocolate. When they speak of dark chocolate, they're talking 70% or greater cocoa solids, so dark chocolate. Leafy greens, citrus fruits, because of vitamin C, pomegranate fruit, nuts and seeds, watermelon, and red wine. And I did want to just make a comment on the beets. You can do the powdered beets as well. There's a lot of recipes that are very popular right now. I'll try to put a few recipes out on the virtual gym as well of how to increase some beets into your diet, especially if you don't like eating the earthy beets from the ground. So just kind of so you know, effects of saturated fat, sugar, and water on the blood vessels. So the saturated fat, the buildup of saturated fat creates that plaque in the vessel walls, causing the vessels to narrow, and that can make the vessels more rigid, which contributes to high blood pressure. So we want relaxed vessels. Sugar in the blood vessels. So if we have high blood sugar, it helps those plaques to form, because if you think about your blood being more sticky with sugar in it, with a high amount of sugar in it, it sticks to the walls easier. It contributes to that plaque buildup that also will then clog those arteries. So, and sugar makes the vessels more rigid again from that stickiness. And water, we want to make sure we're drinking adequate water. It keeps the vessels pliable, and it keeps them from becoming brittle as we age, which can contribute to high blood pressure and heart disease. I do have a site here listed for breathing and relaxation techniques, and it covers diaphragmatic breathing and some other breathing techniques that you can go learn on your own if you want. Again, transcendental meditation, that one has been shown to be significantly statistically significant in lowering blood pressure. So we will practice that one too. There's a site there that you can go to if you want to learn more. We will be practicing the relaxation breath in class on Mondays, and on Thursdays we'll be doing some of the other techniques or learning some of the other techniques. Tapping, and I've got a site there. I actually have an app on my phone that leads me through all sorts of different tapping sessions. Progressive muscle relaxation, another great way to relax. Autogenic training. I use this one for helping to fall asleep. It's all about creating heaviness and warmth in your body and repeating just kind of affirmations to yourself as you're doing that. Another app that I use is the Calm app. A lot of businesses, I think even Rockwell has that available to its employees. You could check on that. HeartMath is another app that I've been involved with for a number of years. And you buy the device, you can hook it to your ear, it tracks your heart rate, and you works Bluetooth to your phone, and then you breathe with a little breathing. It just shows you how to breathe in and out, and you visually watch that, and that helps you to learn to keep your breathing within a certain variability, what they call heart rate variability. And when you learn to do that, they call that coherence. So coherence is another great way to learn to work with your breath, which helps bring the heart rate down, which helps lower the blood pressure. And it helps you respond when you're in stressful situations by leaning back and leaning on the technique of coherence. So that's through page 14. On page 15, I've got a few recipes that start here. There's a spicy slow cooker black bean soup. I really like to encourage people to go meatless with one of their meals through the week. And if you make a big pot of soup, like a black bean soup or a navy bean soup, that can last for several meals through the week. And if you make your own, again, you can control the amount of sodium and saturated fat and other things that are going into the recipe. I did write some tips in from my own experience with making some of these recipes. There's a butternut squash and turkey chili there. Roasted beets and carrots with honey balsamic glaze. A luscious lima bean soup. Lima beans are really rich in potassium, so another great thing that you can get into your diet to help increase that potassium level. And molasses bran muffins. This is just something you can make. And if you're like me and you don't want to eat a whole bunch all at once, you can keep out what you want and make a dozen and then freeze some of them and pull them out for breakfast over the next couple of weeks as needed. I did put all the nutrition information at the bottom of the page that corresponds to the sheets I put together above, so you can see and track the amount. On page 20, this is a page I want you to fill out, and that's to really focus in on your individual goals. So how many calories do you want per day? How many of each food group do you need per day or per week? And then what is the level of the different nutrients that you need? So writing that out and keeping that page handy so you can review that and look at that. And then we start with our tracking pages. So May 3rd, the first week, we're going to add tracking sodium. So again, I'm not going to really focus on calories or food groups, but you will be able to write down your food, what food group it came from, the portion size that you ate, and then the amount of sodium. So that is what we want to really focus in on that first week, is getting that sodium level down to 1,500 milligrams. So that will be a challenge for all of us. I'll be working at it with you guys. And so we have the tracking sheets for that first full week. And then we will start, let's see, the second week, we're going to start to increase potassium. So I added that on. So each week we build on each week. You will still be tracking sodium, but you will also now be tracking the amount of potassium. I think those are probably the two most important nutrients that you need to track to help to lower your blood pressure, making sure that you're getting plenty of potassium and a lower amount of sodium in the diet to help lower that blood pressure. So we will continue that through that second week. And then we will add magnesium into the mix. And on Thursdays, I will have you, start focusing on tracking some of the other nutrients, but we're not going to be writing them down, but just reviewing them in the Thursday classes. But each Monday, you'll start with tracking using these sheets. So you will be now tracking sodium, potassium, and magnesium for week 3. And then week 4, we're going to add in fiber. So sodium, potassium, magnesium, and fiber. I know it sounds like a lot of work. Remember, you can email me, get in touch with me, and I can help you if you're challenged in finding the amount of certain nutrients. Even when I put the sheets together above, you'll see there's a few nutrients missing because I could not find a good source that showed me all of that data. So, but I will do the best that I can on any foods that you are looking for to help you in tracking, because we really want to get a good view of what we're eating and the amount of these nutrients in it, so we know where we need to go to really help in lowering the blood pressure. We have just a couple pages of notes at the end, and that is the end of the booklet. So I did want to review that with you. If you haven't received your booklet yet, please contact me by the first day of class, and I'll make sure that we get that to you. You can email me also, and I'll make sure that we have set up a plan to get you your book. So that's all I have for now. I look forward to getting started with everyone, and take care. Thanks.